So it's great that there's so much positivity and change and good that came from making Nintendo Quest. And you were saying about 99% of it was excellent and great. So that leaves 1%. So not to say that, the dirt. So not to say that there was maybe something so negative, but is there something that was really frustrating, or something that was that you can share that was the biggest disappointment while filming Nintendo Quest?
It even started before we filmed, because we ran a Kickstarter campaign to help with the funds, because making a feature-length film is very expensive. And so when you're trying to raise funds for production costs and to cover legal bills, people see the concept of you following somebody around who is buying some expensive stuff. They immediately confuse the two goals with, oh, you want to raise money to buy video games. We're not going to give you money to do that. And it's just like, no, you need money to make a film because films are expensive. So we had to constantly kind of do that. So that was it was more irritating and frustrating than negative, I would say. It's just clarity of message, but everybody just assumes you're out to get them or out for your own endeavors.
That was tough. I got a lot of messages too, how dare you guys raise money to buy video games? And I assure you, every penny was from myself and my mom, God bless her as well. So
I always just say to people, imagine what it would cost to travel over 10,000 miles for 30 days in hotels, feeding 6 people every day, every meal. The $15,000 we raised on the first campaign doesn't cover that, let alone wages and salaries on top of it. So that was one thing. What are some of the other 1% issues that stood out and turned your stomach, Jay?
in either of these examples, so if you're talking about the video game community or if you're talking about the toy community, there's that 0.1% of people who always know more than you. We didn't run into a whole lot of that, but it's something that, you talk about, whatever. I'll throw out some 80s reference. The origin of Destro and how Destro is Scottish. There's always that guy that comes out of the wall, well actually, and he has to correct you, so a lot of that stuff kind of happened. More so I would say in the games, than but Destro is Scottish, so.
All right, so as the years have passed after making Nintendo Quest and more people have seen it and talked to you guys and reached out to you, do you have any new feelings about what you created with Nintendo Quest, and has it affected how you approach making the action figure adventure film?
Well, I think the easiest thing to say is that we've made another collecting documentary, right? So if Nintendo Quest was a very sour experience in one way or another, we probably wouldn't have decided to do another project together. And there was a lot of talk back and forth. Do we do another project? What's it going to be? Is it going to be Super Nintendo Quest, which is what everybody wanted it to be? Is it going to be Sega Quest? Is it going to be video games or something else? And then the biggest question for me was, can Nintendo Quest actually break even, turn a profit, and actually make money? Because I can't take the time it takes to make a film, which is years, and the cost of it, which is several thousands and thousands of dollars, to do it again for free because it was a fun time. I'm a dad, I've got 2 kids, I've got bills to pay, you guys understand it. Making films is fun, but it's not a hobby. It's show business, and that's one word, show business. So Nintendo Quest had to be profitable. So when it actually became profitable, 4 years later, then there was an opportunity and the universe opened up.
So you just said a good keyword there, show business. And there was a lot of bartering and price negotiations of the Nintendo cartridges that you were getting. So with the showbiz kind of word thrown out, were any of the negotiations kind of done off camera and then...
Everything is scripted. Everything.
Was everything scripted? Was anything done off camera?
Everybody's an actor.
And then brought into the fold to create some more drama, or is what we saw on film exactly how it was laid out?
For Nintendo Quest, it's exactly how it happened, for sure, 100%. There is no staging. I did not want to get into, okay, let's do this and then let's do this. It was whatever they wanted to sell it for, and whatever Jay wanted to buy it for. With Nintendo Quest in particular, the end result, we shied away from having a lot of monetary driven stats on screen because we found people were just becoming math students, trying to do the math the whole time and missing the whole chasing the dream aspect.
Yeah, if I may, that was one of the big criticisms of Nintendo Quest was that we didn't put the dollar budget in there.
It is represented, of course, with a meter that you see
Yeah.
rise and fall.
Yeah, so I get that question even to this day all the time. The truth of the matter is, from my point of view, if you look at a really rare game like Little Samson, 1,000, 2,000, no, sorry, 1,000, 1,200 now, back then was about $600 to $700. There's a B. The problem with that is it's going to date the film. Do you know what I mean? Is it around me?
It's still around you.
Get them.
No, I'm good.
So do you know what I mean? So you're going to be watching, you'll see Little Samson on the screen and it's worth $700 and that's great, but now it's worth $1,200. So there's that as well. It really dates the film and we really wanted to make it kind of timeless, right?
This is hilarious.
Okay, so you're talking about, you know, living the dream. You got 30 days out on the road. You got a film crew. You got yourselves. How much of what you film actually is in the final product? So you've got lots and lots and lots of stuff. How do you?
It's about a 20-to-1 ratio.
20 to 1,
I would
eh?
say maybe 60-to-1. For every hour of footage, there's 1 minute in there.
Okay, and how do you choose what to cut?
It's always about what's compelling, right? It goes back to the truth. I mean, everybody here has shopped in a store before. It's not always the most interesting thing, so you cut to the moments that stand out, like, oh wow, look at that figure. Does that matter? Does it matter later on in the story? So we have to set it up now. Was there any interesting people that Jay interacted with? Was the staff interesting? Is it just time where we need a break and we need things to slow down, so we want to be really in the moment with Jay, or do we need to speed it up and get the journey going? So is it a montage? Was the camera work particularly awesome and we want to let it sit? Was it not so awesome and we need to cut around it? With that too, you mentioned the setup of the 30 days. That whole structure, which is a bit of a game show setup, you know, the constant ticking clock, that changed for Action Figure Adventure. So we're talking about the things from Nintendo Quest that affected Action Figure Adventure. Nintendo Quest basically kept the game show elements and Action Figure Adventure removed them so it could be more flexible. Because one of the things we found, it was very constraining to constantly go up every day, drive 6 hours, go in 4 stores, and then hit the road again, you go to another city and keep going over it. There was a lot of burnout, and sure, we got it in the can very quickly, but I think it could have been done better if we would have taken more time and learned lessons day to day over weeks instead.
Anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, the 30-day stuff is great, and I think it really unfolds great as you watch it. You're right there with me, and you can feel the tension, especially after the first encounter with stadium events. You really start to feel the pressure I'm feeling.
Spoilers.
Yeah. So for this one, I am kind of glad it was removed. I think it gives us a chance to focus more on the different series, the different figure lines and stuff like that. It was a smart move.
There's one less thing to keep track of too. I mean, there ultimately becomes a ticking clock in Action Figure Adventure. And when you watch it, when it comes out, whenever that is, you'll see it suddenly kick in and go, oh, now they have to kind of come to a close here and the clock is running. But then it also removes one less thing to keep track of. And likewise, budget is very much in the focus on Action Figure Adventure, because to determine success for that, it's going to be about what the auction, you know, what happens at the auction and what takes place, what things get sold for versus what Jay buys them, and that difference going to children's health, that's really going to determine the success. So money became more paramount to kind of showcase in this film.
Okay, sounds good. Speaking of like the editing and what you choose and everything, were there any disagreements between you two about what you'd spend on a game, where you're going to search for games, like the locations, what's going to make the final cut? Was there any kind of heat where you guys were just trying to, you know, somebody had a really strong opinion one way and the other person said, no, I don't think this is how it should go?
Let me tell you something about Rob McCallum. In any production with this guy, yeah, there's tension and there's disagreements, and we do a really good job, by the way, of separating our friendship too. I think we have a really good professional relationship. That being said, all the decisions were ultimately mine in both of these.
So story-wise, what happens? Jay gets to decide.
Yeah, so the games, the figures, the play sets, whatever we come up with, ultimately it's my choice. And afterwards, there's always the post-interview from the store or the con or wherever we are. And Rob has to get a response, so he'll play devil's advocate a bit, you know, that kind of thing. So.
Okay.
And as far as the film goes, those are all my choices. I'm known as the keeper of the footage because I'll bring something up as I'm editing months ago that Jay won't remember, but I'm reliving because I'm intently spending entire days editing, you know, a 3 or 4 minute segment. I'm like, remember that? And you're like, no, I don't get to see any of the footage. So, no, I don't remember it. And I think it's good to keep the separation for Jay not to be involved in the cutting side of it. I'll show Jay cuts here and there and different samples when I think it's not gonna make a huge difference one way or another, just to get an outside opinion about like how to start a scene, or what do you think of this, or here's the trailer before it goes out. But it's very much, I want the guy who's on camera not to be affecting the kind of observational objectivity of his journey.
Yeah, I'm very critical of myself and my work, so Rob does keep that separate. He showed me a very, 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 very early scene from the new action figure dog, and I was like, really, this and that. And he's like, see, this is why I don't show you, because yeah. So I leave that to him, and yeah, he's good at what he does.
You just constantly reaffirm the decisions that have to be in stone.
Yeah, that's really cool insight. That just how decisions on both ends are kind of kept separate, but then yet gel into one really good finished product. So